If I had a penny for every time somebody asked me for a nice watch under $5,000, I'd probably have a $5,000 watch. But there are plenty of hidden gems out there where they don't break the bank. And the best part about it is that in terms of value retention, this is what people are so concerned over. People see nothing but dollar signs nowadays. It's actually pretty decent because of the amount of money lost. If you look at percentages lost on a $100,000 watch, if you lose 10, 20%, you're losing 10, 20 grand. If you buy a $5,000 watch and you're losing 10%, you're basically paying $500 to rent this watch for a few years when you go to resell it. And also they're a lot more liquid. I'm gonna run through a few watches just as an example. Of course, there are plenty out there, but we don't have that kind of time. So let's jump into our first watch, which is the Tag Heuer Aqua Racer. Sort of that lower end line for Tag Heuer, but yet very iconic. And why do I particularly like this one? Well, first of all, look at the dial, look at the yellow accents, right? Look at the fact that the watch is sporty, but not too plain. Right? If you look at the bezel design, the bracelet design, the case design, everything about this watch screams value to me because the market price on them is just under $2,000. And with potentially Tag Heuer taking over the headline sponsorship for Formula One this year, or next year I should say, perhaps their stock might be going up. So when you guys always ask me, hey, what can I grab around 2 grand? I'll tell you, Tag Heuer. And this is certainly one of them. Breitling is another one. And while it seems pretty obvious, like, well, of course Breitling. Well, you can get a lot more value out of a Breitling than just good old Pilot clunky watch, right? You can go with the Premier. The Premier line, especially the day date, to me is indeed a lot of value. It's military vintage inspired. It has a nice 40 millimeter size case, but yet it's not bulky like some of their Pilot counterparts. And you get a day date, right? I mean, same as a Rolex day date. You have the gold tone hands and the indices, nice brown leather straps. So this watch can actually serve 2 purposes. It can be a dress watch while at the same time being a sports watch. A watch that will go with a suit and a pair of jeans, and market price just under 3 grand. Next one is, I guess we can call this one the obvious, Tudor Black Bay GMT. It's probably one of the most, if not most popular modern Tudor watch, right? You have the practical GMT functionality, right? You have the sturdy build quality. This isn't the Tudor of the past. These Tudors are built just as good as Rolexes today. They have their own manufacturer. They're not just a stepchild of Tudor anymore. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, if you asked me about a Tudor, I would laugh at you. But today, that game has changed completely. Beautiful matte, bright white dial. Obviously, the signature Tudor snowflake hands. And again, you have the Pepsi, right? Except it's a cheaper Pepsi. It's a Pepsi on a budget. And to tell you that the Pepsi GMT from Rolex is any better than this one, I'd be lying. The quality is on the same exact level. And the market price, best of all, is around $3,500. Again, doesn't break the bank, makes a statement, instantly recognizable. And the days of Tudor being a Rolex's stepchild is long gone. Tudor is a brand that stands on its own and will continue to stand on its own. In a previous video, I actually voted them as top 5 most improved brands over the last 15 years. And considering that you're saving about 15 grand versus its Rolex counterpart, not a bad deal. Let's go backwards a little bit to an Omega Speedmaster MK40 day date, right? Again, lots of value on pieces that are slightly older, for example. And this is not vintage by all means, it's just an older model. Moon phase, number 1. Triple calendar, number 2. Again, 39 millimeter case, nice and large, but yet not too big, right? You have your chronograph, you have a 24-hour display. All that from one of the most iconic watches ever produced, the Omega Speedmaster, at a market price of just under 4 grand. Again, a lot of bang for your dollar. And this is what I tell people, whether you're shopping in a $50,000 price range or a $5,000 price range or under, look at what you get for the money. Just like with the Breitling early, you get a date there functionality. Just like with this Omega, I mean, this is packed with functionality. A triple calendar moon phase, 24-hour display, and a chronograph, that's a lot of watch for 4,000 bucks. Bulgari Octa Solo Tempo. Now, these are the pre-Octa Finissimo pieces, right? You still get the same Gerald Genta design and DNA. You still get the mean look with the PVD coating that's on the watch, right? I like the mix of the baton and the Arabic numerals for the hours, right? You get your time and you get your date. And you get the same exact look and feel as the Finissimo at about half the price because, again, these on the secondary are trading less than the Finissimo. And yes, this is a thicker, bigger watch. If you actually prefer it, because not everybody likes the super thinness of the Finissimo, you can get this one at a fraction of a cost. Badass big black watch with gold markers for just over $4,000. So many cool other models that came out from the Bulgari Octo line in general. And again, some of those will break the bank, but if you're shopping under 5 grand, plenty of options. And these watches come in various colors, dials, markers, et cetera, et cetera. Panerai. Don't forget about good old Panerai. You know, I remember going back to the times where every Panerai was trading over list. The market was absolutely insane on it. And then obviously as production numbers tend to increase, you know, demand doesn't move with the number of productions, prices tend to go down. And again, you want a big watch for no money? Here's a 47 millimeter radium mirror for you. Still the classic designs of the radium mirror dating back to the era when these were used by the Italian Navy. You still get your date, you still get a beautiful strap. Panerai makes some really nice straps. I mean, their stitching on those straps is beautiful. There's some brands out there, for example, if I compared a stitch strap from Breitling to a Panerai, I would go with Panerai every single time. You can also outfit this watch with a rubber strap. And again, market price under $5,000, around that $4,500 price range. And again, gives you an option outside of the obvious Tudor, Breitling, and Omega. And that's how I look at Panerai today, because I do like their watches. I think their quality build. Absolutely love the fact that it's a military style watch. And I love the fact that this is a 47 millimeter that one can actually wear with a slightly smaller wrist because of the way the case is shaped and how thick the case, or thin I should say, the case is. Cartier, and just when you thought I was gonna say Santos, there are other watches out there outside of the Cartier Santos or the Tank, right? And that's the Cartier Ballon Bleu. This watch took the industry by storm when it came out, I don't remember how many years ago at this point, because of its unique design and sort of the crown being integrated inside the case, if you will. Nice large size at 42 millimeters. They do come smaller. They do come in a 36 millimeter. Also come two-tone that would probably fit into that same budget, right? And again, it's a model like no other. When you look at this watch, you instantly will recognize that this is a Cartier Ballon Bleu, because if you think about it, yeah, plenty of round watches out there on a bracelet, but this one is very particular. The large Roman numerals, the railroad minute track on the dial, super classy, super Cartier, but giving you a larger, sportier look. And again, market price around $47.50, so a lot of bang for your dollar, and we know that Cartier is up. Another brand that I voted to be one of the most improved brands in the last 15 years. The biggest achievement, I believe, is they got rid of the sentiment that wristwatches were for ladies only. They were ladies' jewelry, and they opened up the doors to what we all as men wear now, and that is wristwatches. Guys, this video could have been much longer. There's probably another 50 watches that I can put forth, but I just kind of wanted to open up the blinders a little bit and say, hey, you don't have to go to the usual suspects. You don't have to look for an older Rolex Datejust if you want to spend $5,000 or less. Plenty of brands out there that will give you options that are different than your next door neighbors. Because this is what happens. When you're shopping in that $5,000 price range, odds are you're getting something that somebody else already has. As individuals, we often want to stand out. And I think the models that I mentioned here, most of them is going to be something in the realm of, oh, well, my next door neighbor doesn't have that. Maybe with the exception of the Tudor. Other than that, guys, thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.